Look out. Yeah.
I asked you to.
Oh, yeah.
Wonder if she wants paint.
She wants, yes, she wants. both. She's having this conversation. We're all so careful, you know. Oh. You're on the right list. I'm looking. We should wait to see.
Yeah. I know you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Sure. You're not doing the one that's going. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. We're going to get started here in just a minute. Thanks for your patience. I have an idea. Yeah.
Now, 703, we have people who, we have a fair number of people who are showing us via.
Did this in the camera.
Let's get it just.
Okay. I referred to you as the resident pianist. I saw that. Yeah. Thank you. It's weird. Change it.
Get outside the circle because I'm not technically.
I know. Sure. Somebody's saying you are.
The all trustees signed in.
Oh, is everybody signed in?
And Allison, can the people on the Zoom hear me, or do I need to turn my microphone on? And the people on the Zoom, oh. Okay.
No, don't turn on your microphone, because the microphone's set up down here.
No, I have to.
Okay,
No,
thanks for.
Can the people on the Zoom hear me?
Can the people on the Zoom hear me now?
Okay, now I should probably, I'll switch the microphone off here.
Okay. So I'd like to remind especially the trustees that we sign in digitally. I'm trying to capture your names here, but just to be safe, If you could sign your names into the chat as we've traditionally done in our prior Zoom meetings, I'd appreciate it. And I believe
somebody
everybody-
needs to give me the chat. I'll do it.
Absolutely.
Little details.
So Stephen, DeForest has informed me I didn't need to be so formal in how we arrayed the agenda today. So I'm gonna call the meeting to order. I will have some quick votes and then I'm going to turn the meeting over, I believe, to Allison. That would work. Thank you. So first item on our agenda today is to elect Scott Sirdike as an MCC trustee. Scott has joined us via Zoom, but we all met him at the November meeting where he joined us.
I move the election of Scott Sirdike.
Thank you. That's what I needed. Thank you. Anybody opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Scott, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Vote on the 2024 slate of Magnolia Community Council officers. I believe it's somewhat unprecedented. We have co-vice presidents in Leslie Helm and Earl Cohen. Ezekiel Duran as treasurer. Ezekiel was going to join us tonight, but I just got a message from him. He's dealing with an illness in the family and children, which I think are more important than us. Ezekiel and Allison as our new president. Can I get a motion? Thank you. Second?
Elect the slate.
Elect the slate.
Second.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? Allison? Congratulations.
Awesome. Would you like to change places?
No.
No.
I want to thank Earl and Leslie also for being able to step up as vice president to working with everybody this year. I'm going to switch microphones now and see if they can hear me.
I think that makes, I doubt it. I think it makes a lot of sense to go to a closer microphone. So I'm.
All right, folks, if you can you turn off your speaker?
Yes, I'm about to.
Okay.
Nice to see everyone, by the way. Yeah. It's like amazing.
People out here.
It is Steven. We've met before.
Can you all hear me right now?
Well, I recognize.
Okay, great.
for that.
I'm going to be trying sort of speak loudly, so just maybe put something in the chat if you cannot hear, okay?
'Cause I'm in my PJs.
Yeah. Okay, my dear boy. So I guess the first order is to approve the minutes from November that Carol so kindly put together for us.
Move we approve.
Okay, great. Let's do the post thing on that. No. Yes.
Call for the question, maybe.
Good. Does anyone have any? Well, as written, done. Okay. Our next meeting is February 20th. We're going to have our executive trustee meeting here on the first Tuesday, the 6th.
February 6th.
I'm hoping the new trustees, and can you hear me all pretty well? Okay. I'm going to talk louder. I'm hoping that the new trustees can come to the meeting right after our executive meeting. I'm thinking about having pizza and getting together, and all of you are welcome. So I just want to put that in your
calendar, that would be 6:30. If it all works out, 6:30, February 6th, and I'll send out a reminder about that. And then our next topic will be, Earl Cohen has generously put together a letter, which I've printed out a couple of copies. If you have not received it, you're welcome to take a look at it. We might need to have Earl read it out loud. Just to, I don't know, is there anyone that hasn't read it? I just asked my first question.
And there was a typo thanks to
Okay.
Bruce identifying it's a typo in there.
Okay, Earl, do you want to speak to the topic?
Sure, and then I'm gonna defer to Dan to talk a lot about it. The impetus for writing this letter is the mayor's response to an email campaign that Bruce Carter started, and that the mayor responded to Don Schlosser's email, and it was less than satisfying response. And so it begged a more formal letter from Magnolia Community Council. And basically, this is an issue that's been going on. I know Councilman Strauss identified how they had dealt with the issue on the Aurora Bridge a while back. But the fact that we've got lights out on that bridge, and particularly the flyover, thank you, Janice, for making it clear that it's the Gaylor Street flyover, is really, really dangerous. I assume most of us, if not all of us, have driven that at night, and on occasion probably encounter people crossing that section of the highway. But the big problem is the Seattle City Light and Department of Transportation. There's a lot of finger pointing or tossing the hot potato. Each of them has some responsibility for the infrastructure on that bridge. And one of the things that was shocking to me in a phone call last summer was one of the people from City Light saying, well, when the earthquake occurred back in 2001, we talked about what needed to be done, and there was an agreement between SDOT and Seattle City Light that since the bridge was going to be, replaced soon, we just weren't going to bother dealing with the lights until the replacement. Yeah. Well, of course, and I'm sure it was nothing in writing, but it was, a verbal understanding. But the mayor alluded to not that particular agreement, but that SDOT and City Light each had responsibility for it, and they needed to coordinate. But he also then pointed out there were long-term infrastructure issues that made it a challenge. Okay. This letter is an attempt to, one, subtly light a fire about, we don't really care that City Light and SDOT have communication issues. Fix that so that they work together. Okay. The second problem is these long-term infrastructure issues, i.e. replacing the bridge. Okay. That's not going to happen for a long time. Even if we funded it today, it's not going to happen for a long time. We need those lights fixed. There has to be an interim solution. I just can't believe that there aren't, smart people in both those departments that can figure out how to fix it. So this letter is an attempt, next step, in asking the mayor, and it's addressed to you and to Bob Kettle, to see if we can get some movement on that issue, because it really has gone on way too long.
May I share some thoughts?
Please.
Number one, that's not a satisfactory response from the city to point fingers at each other or to say we're not going to do something until infrastructure is replaced. Like that's not good customer service from the city family, and I'm not okay with it. Good. Since our last meeting where this came up, Anthony has been working to get City Light to fix the out streetlights. And he was told that they've been fixed. Our district director today was like, I don't know, I got an email, I don't think that they're fixed. I said, well, Anthony, we're gonna go drive across it tonight and we're gonna see for ourselves whether they're fixed or not.
Right, and in fairness, the mayor said that they had identified a burnt out fuse, they replaced that fuse, and that's in his response to Dawn. But that fuse burned out again or something.
Right, and so this is where, and we'll keep working this issue, so this is one of those situations where more feedback is good. To know, like, once it's been fixed, to say, hey, you know, send a message to Anthony, hey, it's been fixed. Or if it goes back out again, say, hey, it's back out again. Really, we can, like, we are only as successful at our job, and it's our partnerships with you, because we can't be everywhere at the same time.
Right.
And it's not like, if something goes out again, then we have to fix it again. So I would, if Earl, if you and Anthony could link up.
Yeah, well, we've communicated.
Great.
Communicated after that
Because-
last meeting.
We're gonna make some phone calls tomorrow, and then I would say, let's calibrate your letter. If you need to go stronger or leave it as it is, because we'll have a little bit more information tomorrow.
I think that's up to the council. I mean,
Sure.
we could wait a day, but to get approval for it, I'd almost prefer to send this letter, and then we're happy to send another one.
Totally fine.
But I also want to make sure that the tone of this is collaborative. I don't want to be adversarial with you or Bob or the mayor, but you know, I want people to just understand we need it fixed. So
I can't believe this. I'm last. I'm kidding.
that alphabetical order thing.
It's not even my district text. But I mean,
Well, I know, that's why. See, I'm
you know, the only thing that I would say is, just I see that, you know, you say in this letter, the mayor states as City Light replaced a fuse and lights are now working. I might just, I don't know how to highlight it. Just
Scott,
like
do you have a
adding
question?
thanks, like, you know, just like a little bit of like, hey, thanks for trying's not good enough. Can you come back? Perfect.
Couple questions. Scott has a question.
Yeah, sorry, I can't find the hand raise, you know, I have the updated version now, so until I find it, thanks for recognizing. One thought is that just with your discussion with regards to the Magnolia Bridge, long-term, I mean, nothing's gonna happen for at least 10 years, right? Whether it's finance, whether it's whatever happens. So, you know, putting it to the city, hey, what is your 10-year plan? Because it can't be the last 10 years because we're gonna have twice as many lights out. It's just kind of irresponsible. And if you're looking for how much to invest, at least think about this as a 10-year investment. And that may help them gauge, okay, so we're not going to do this type or this type. So that may be a way to frame it. The other thing is, you know, reminding them, I mean, the SDOT and the city were sure excited about replacing and standardizing all the nicer light fixtures in West Magnolia. I know that was a big to-do. So I don't know what the budget was for that, but not that I want to say save on that budget because the bridge is probably more important, but all the light poles currently in West Magnolia are functional. So if you take some of that budget and apply it to the bridge, you could probably balance things up. Just a couple thoughts to, I don't know, keep the conversation going.
And somebody, I have some hearing loss.
Okay, you know what, Carol, I have a speaker. I'm gonna-
Summary, they fix the lights in West Magnolia. Why can't they fix these? Is it a budget problem?
Oh, yeah,
Can we put that?
because Magnolia Bridge has always been a stepchild.
So should I try this?
May also be.
Should I try this again?
Things that I discussed with Earl. About it and getting the mayor involved. I think that,
we haven't been as specific as SDOT needs to hear, or City Light needs to hear as to which lights. It's mainly that overpass onto Starfield, if you're heading north on 15th and you do the overpass. That is dangerous as hell, because there are people who are living in the hillside. There have been shopping carts crashed, pedestrians in a place where there are no sidewalks. It's a real hazard, and I think it's replacing blocks. It's going to be a lot cheaper than.
Well, I have a question for you. Yeah. Are any of the lights on the viaduct, are they numbered? I'm assuming they're numbered like everything else. And if they are, I'm wondering if we should actually have a number of specific lights that are out so that FDOT knows that that's the thing to track. I know that on the west side of the peninsula here, you call in, you specify a number, they can track that as being like. And I'm wondering if that would actually help the letter to the mayor to actually identify them. Do it. I can do it tomorrow afternoon and just send it back.
Yeah, the only thing I'd be concerned about is a section where there's no sidewalk. There, as you curves around and then brings out on the bridge.
Okay. Would it help you? If it does.
Yeah,
I'll stop by and actually just validate which ones are out.
Okay.
That is best practice, and please be safe.
Yeah.
The one thing you can add to that is a photograph.
Oh.
It would have to be in the
I'll take
daytime.
some images.
You're right, and
That's
that,
easy
you
enough.
have the numbers and the images.
Okay.
Another reinforcement for,
You got it.
here they are.
So, in the interest of time, I'll make the motion that, we, draft the slide on our letterhead with the petition of Steve's generous offer to, take his time and get Earl. Right, the additional, Earl will modify it.
Yeah, I'll edit the letter.
If I could, I would just add, I just happened to run into at the pork party, actually, to Mike Haynes, the CEO of City Light. And long ago, I worked for City Light as a summer intern, so I was kind of BSing with him about that. But then I raised this specific issue with him. This was just like a week before we got the mayor's letter. And he just kind of rolled his eyes. And he's apparently seemed to be quite aware of the back and forth between City Light and SDOT. I would suggest that Earl and Allison get the letter out.
Absolutely, that's how we do things.
Without further board review. I mean, I think these are.
That one,
But it is a public.
that's when I just moved.
Yeah, so.
That's exactly what I mean.
Okay, a second.
So I'll wait till tomorrow,
Right.
in which case, Anthony, if you can provide more.
So there's a second.
All right.
So the only other question I have is, Dan, are there other folks that we should CC this letter? I mean, we can address it to the council and to, you know, the department heads, like spots.
You could add citywide council member if you wanted.
Yeah.
You said the city, city light.
Citywide position 8, which is currently vacant. I don't know, Bob, I see you there. Do you think we should add director head so it's not just us getting the letter? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, and Mike and, because if Mike's already in charge,
So which departments?
City Light and SDOT.
Okay.
City light council.
City Light and SDOT.
You said add the citywide council member, but that's the vacant.
We have 2, Sarah Nelson.
Oh,
and-
right.
Thank you. It'll feel great if we get that fixed before before the summer, that would be great.
Yes. Was this the same problem that they had on the Laurel Bridge or slightly different?
I am good at my job, which means that I delegate.
Okay.
So I don't actually know.
I knew it was a problem.
I knew it was a problem and I knew that we got it fixed, but I had smarter people than I.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So Darren, I'll turn the meeting over to you now for an
So we
update.
passed the motion.
We did.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of prepared remarks. I just really wanted to be present with you and I'm supposed to be at home for dinner by 8, but I think I'll be home by 8:15. Anthony, my deputy district director, is here. He can stay till about 8:30. Really, we just want to be present with you. And that's why we're here, to help you problem solve the issues that you're faced with, and also to get the real-time feedback that we need to work on projects like what's going on the Magnolia Bridge. Since the last time I saw you, we've had our committees finalized. And so I'm no longer the chair of the land use committee. I'm still the vice chair. And I'm now the chair of the finance committee, so the budget, and keeping Deborah Juarez's legacy alive with native communities and tribal governance. My external for the city committees are, I have been today appointed for the Sound Transit board member position, which is going to be important in Interbay and Ballard. Because almost everyone else who lives in the city of Seattle, who's on the Sound Transit Board, lives in West Seattle. I approached this position in a regional, with a regional perspective. I said at my confirmation hearing today, and I'll say it to you as well. It is just as important for me to get our network to Everett and to Tacoma as it is important to me to get to West Seattle and to Ballard. And that's because this is a position where, yes, I live in Ballard. Yes, I represent Seattle City Council District 6, but my role on the Sound Transit Board is a regional. I said in my remarks today, I'm very aware that there are people paying taxes for Sound Transit that don't have access to Sound Transit services. It's just something that is really important for me. So I'm really glad. I'm really excited. I also serve on the board of Association of Washington Cities. With the legislative session going on right now, that's going to be taking up some of my time. My committee assignment, finance, is probably the most challenging committee that we have today. Bob, I don't need to take. You've got your own. Bob's got the other stellar committee. But we've got a $250 million budget hole. I keep having people tell me, oh, that can't be true and that can't be real. But this is a product of many years of not signing labor agreements and contracts and having revenue sources and using revenue sources that were one time for ongoing needs. And so we have to really, and so I'm excited to step back in this role. I say, come back to Magnolia and step back in this role because I got to work with Sally Bagshaw when she represented this area and had the same position. So I'm excited for that. I will say that working with the mayor's team, we are already very well aligned in just the way we approach the world. And that's going to be really critical to get us through closing this budget hole. We do currently have a vacancy at Seattle City Council. I want to honor Jason. You applied for that position. I'm sorry, we only had 8 spots that we can move on. But I want to take this moment to uplift Jason for submitting an application with 75 total, 72 that made it, and we had 5:01 p.m. submissions that didn't even make the cut, right? Because the cut was 5 o'clock. And so, Jason, you do so much for the community. And you were one of the 75 people citywide that stood up, and just want to honor that. Yeah. I did get the Magnolia Bridge interbase slide back from SDOT at the end of the year. At some point, I'll be kind of transparent. I haven't reviewed it because I'm waiting to just hold their feet to the fire this year with a renewed energy now that I have Magnolia in my district. Because I like, when you send me a report at the end of the year that you've been sitting on, it rubs me the wrong way. So that's where we're getting started there. I will say, you know, Anthony's here. You know, Leslie, I was dreaming this weekend about the Magnolia Trail. Like, that's a dream. Yeah, I mean, like, it's a weird thing to get fixated on, but like, I would love to see that get done.
Thank
Or
you.
at
I
least
appreciate that.
move that forward. Also, I don't know if anyone here has been working on the sidewalk cafe issue out in front of, or just, not Wadrow, Uptown, sorry. Right next to Uptown. Is anyone in here working on that
It's
project?
the chamber and it's the parklet, right?
Yeah.
Parklet,
Okay, so I'll circle back with them.
Is there an issue with that? Did you say?
No,
Bureaucracy was the issue.
Oh, but it's going in though.
it's almost done.
It's almost
Good.
done.
Good.
Some people were complaining about the loss of parking.
Right.
That makes it neighbor.
I had touched base with the chamber at some point in the last 3 months where they were having some bureaucratic issues that they were working through. So if it's almost done, then that means that the advice worked.
Thank
Yeah. I don't know if you want me to take questions or do you need to keep moving ahead?
In a few minutes.
Okay,
Could I,
sure.
I'm just trying to like to make this strictly a comment. Two things. One is, I think everybody is delighted to hear that you've taken a seat on the Sound Transit Board. So congratulations. But I saw what around the room, I think everybody smiled at that moment. So, because we need an advocate who understands our neighborhood. And then the second thing, and this is addressed to both you and Bob, who's with us digitally. I think the hybrid meetings are going to be an interesting adventure, but are kind of the way all meetings are going to go in the future here. You know, many of us who really advocated and fought the split in the city council, we kind of like being left whole. But based on the outcome of the election, and I actually kind of feel like we've come out ahead. Secret plan worked. Right, to Janice's point, it feels like with you know, wonderfully privileged honors, I consider myself very lucky to be here. But it does seem like from a city perspective, we always come in third. And I don't quite understand that, but I do believe that we now have two advocates who really understand our issues. And I just had to say something. So I'm just really happy and optimistic about the city right now.
Thanks. I will say that at city council right now, there is more activity than I've seen since the pandemic started. I was joking today. Like I can't now leave my office to use the restroom without being stopped 5 times. And that's a good thing. I would say that the split has done actually wonders for the relationship because we get to have something to partner on. Right. As soon as I said any questions, I realized that there was an announcement recently about Fort Lawton. I don't need to open a Pandora's box, but I will tell you that there will be supplemental studies that will happen this next year. There will be other opportunities to engage. There's more green space, there's more units to balance the infrastructure. A lot of that delta between what was planned for units has not necessarily, like they don't know what the split will be. I'm advocating for home ownership opportunities.
And we don't know who the project manager is yet.
So for the construction.
Yeah, I
Correct.
was going to appoint somebody over it, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you give us just a general sense of, in terms of your vision, what would be the percentage of, affordable homes versus, what other categories you're looking at?
So generally speaking, we have permanent supportive housing.
Right.
Right, which is people who are exiting homelessness and
Mhm.
need case management.
Mhm.
Right, that's usually the way we call it, 0 to 30% AMI.
Mhm.
And then you have workforce housing, which is 40 to either 60 or 80% AMI. Those are gonna be the folks that are your nurses, are your firefighters, are your teachers,
Right.
work at the grocery store,
Right.
work in the village, right?
Right.
And then usually between 60, it kind of depends on the area, right? Either 80% to market rate, which is 120% area median income.
Right.
That's not really affordable housing.
Right.
So I don't foresee the numbers of permanent supportive housing changing. But I think the emphasis is threefold, and this is like,
But
I'm
the
so
workforce-
over my skis right now.
Right.
But really looking at that relationship with United Indians of all tribes and Chief Seattle. And then workforce and home ownership opportunities.
So that would be, the workforce and home ownership would be kind of roughly like a third, a half, that kind of?
I don't
You
even
don't,
think those
okay,
decisions.
okay,
can be made.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Habitat for Humanity is still involved, right? And that's home ownership.
right.
Can you tell us, Dan, with a 200 million plus budget hole that you're looking at, what you're thinking about why we would be spending so much money, $268 million, of which in the mayor's letter, he said that there's over 100 million of that is not yet been identified where it would come from. Why would we take that large amount of money and then spend it in such fashion that we're getting half of the number of units that we would get, as opposed to if it was built elsewhere? We're building exorbitantly priced housing for affordable housing. What you're thinking about the logic for that?
Yeah, because a lot of that extra cost is coming from fixed infrastructure improvements. And I think that was a really important thing to raise. Just in all candidness, I haven't been part of the decision-making tree regarding this. I did learn about it before you all learned about it, but not by many hours. And so as I get more involved in these conversations, what's important for me is that we are spending our money wisely.
That's what perplexes me. Why would we house half the number of people by putting them there as opposed to twice as many people by constructing somewhere else? You don't have to invest in all that infrastructure.
Totally. And so some of it, like with the home ownership opportunities, that it is hard to find land for home ownership opportunities, as an example. This could very well be that land.
Dan, will this conceptually all reside within the Seattle Housing Authority responsibility?
No, so there's gonna be multiple different.
All right.
Yeah.
Because of the breakdown and how.
Yeah.
All right. But it's conceptual at the moment, reconceptualized.
It has been a continuing. Bob said something smart to me about this today. But it has continued down the path.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
It's
it's gonna be a big topic this year.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to hold a special
It's not
meeting
gonna happen
just for
a
this
couple of years,
topic
please.
again and
Yeah.
discuss it.
And probably bring
Bring some more people in, yeah. So Anthony will stay in touch with you guys who and when we should do that. Yeah. Okay, Steve
Allison,
DeForest,
I hate to interrupt.
no, I know, I need
I
to,
see people that I don't recognize. I
oh,
put
okay,
Stephen down, but there's some I don't recognize.
okay, great. And Steve DeForest kind of let me know that I think I forgot to get a motion, a vote on sending the letter. Did I forget to do that? So I had a motion to send the letter from,
Yeah.
right, so all in favor?
Yeah.
Anyone opposed? Okay, great. All right. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Cody and Emily, who are here from Sound Transit. Thank you for coming tonight. If there's any tech we need to adjust, Zoom people, please let us know.
Okay, so I think we'll just do a sound check.
Okay,
How can folks on the Zoom call hear me right now? Okay, so I think this works.
okay.
So, well, first, thank you for inviting us and giving us opportunity to meet with you all tonight. Excited to share some project updates about the.
Can you speak up?
Sure, happy to. Emily, you want to- yeah. Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here, share updates about the Ballard Link extension. We'll do some quick introductions and then I know we don't have a lot of time, so we'll go through our slideshow presentation pretty quickly and save some time for questions and discussion. But I'm Cody Ryder. I'm on the Government and Community Relations team at Sound Transit. I work specifically on the Ballard Link extension project. It's my colleague Emily.
Hi, everyone. Emily Yasakochi. It's nice to see a lot of you in person, maybe for the first time for some of you. Some of you have come out to our meetings, but all the previous meetings I've done have been on Zoom, so it's very nice to be here in person. I'm with Sound Transit, and I am the segment manager for the Inner Bay Ballard segment of the Ballard Link extension.
We have two colleagues on the Zoom call. Wapi, you want to say hi?
Hello, my name is Kwapi Vengasai, and I am the new Senior Community Engagement Specialist at Sound Transit for the Ballard Link extension. So great to be here. Thank you so much. And I'll pass it on. Brett.
And Brett?
Hi, everyone. Brett Watson. I'm on the consulting team for the project, also a Magnolia resident. So really happy to be here with everyone tonight.
Very cool. Brett would be here in person, but he's helping us with our tech remotely. Thanks, Brett. Thanks, Wapi. All right, so let's dive in. We've got a few slides to kind of orient us in the background. I know a lot of folks know the project very well, but we just kind of go through the history of the project for everyone's benefit. Brett, go ahead, please. So a bit of a reminder about the project. Sound Transit 3 ballot measure passed in 2016 funded regional expansion of light rail and bus rapid transit throughout the region, specifically the West Seattle and Ballard Link extensions. Two separate extensions, including new light rail only downtown tunnel from Soto through the 29 neighborhood, and then ultimately extending on to Ballard. So in a total, the two extensions will deliver 12 new miles of light rail service and serve 14 new stations. Go ahead, Brett. Currently, we are in our planning phase of the project, and we are in our draft environmental impact statement period, and I'll share more about that in a minute. But we have a couple more years of planning ahead of us, followed by 4 years of project design from 2026 to 2030, and construction will take place between 2027 and 2039. So we anticipate a service start date in 2039 for the Ballard extension. Go ahead, Fred. One more. Thank you. Here's the segment for the Ballard Link. The pink line, if you can differentiate the colors, is our current preferred alternative as directed by the board. And we also have other alternatives in the environmental impact statement in the blue lines. And you can see the stations there. We'll zoom in specifically on the Inner Bay and Ballard segments today. Next slide, please. This is just a summary of the board motions that took place in 2023 that either confirmed or modified the preferred alternative. In March, a majority of the alignment was identified for the preferred alternative station locations. And then in July, there was a modification to the Denny station location. Next slide, please. Currently, in our environmental process, we have separated the timelines for the West Seattle and Ballard projects. The West Seattle Link extension has moved on to a final EIS, and we expect that to be published in the middle of this year. Due to modifications to the preferred alternative and the need for additional study, the Ballard Link extension is going to have a new draft EIS that will carry forward all the comments from the original draft EIS that we did. So if there was comments submitted by individuals or by Magnolia Community Council, that will be carried forward and be produced in the new draft EIS. And so currently we anticipate the draft EIS for Ballard to be released at the end of this year. Next
Cody,
slide. Yeah.
Just FYI, I think it was January 2023 for the draft EIS, first bullet.
It wasn't.
It was actually 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2022, and then we went into our further study period, and that took, that took some time, and then, yeah, I know.
Surprisingly, yeah.
I know.
Lots of planning and environmental study. Next slide, please. I'm gonna turn it over to Emily to talk about our segment.
Yeah, so we, as Cody mentioned, we have a preferred alternative and then other alternatives that we are carrying forward into our new draft EIS. These were identified by the board. And then the Inner Bay Ballard is divided up into two segments for the document purposes. So the southern is called South Inner Bay, and there's the Inner Bay Ballard. Luckily, I think we didn't get anything totally new added to so if you have been following this process, most of what I'm going to share is very similar to something you've seen before, but we do have something slightly new in the Ballard section. Councilmember Strauss has been very involved in that, and so I'll talk about those individually. Okay, so for
Change the station site, which means you have to do a new EIS.
we adjust, I'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so let's go on to the next. Okay.
Teach that.
So this is the South Inner Bay segment. It goes basically from the end of the downtown tunnel, almost all the way to Davis Street. We've changed the boundaries slightly at the north end because of that station shift, the shift in the station location. North is to the right, and there are essentially three alternatives in this area. The preferred alternative, if you go to the next slide, is essentially very similar to what it had been previously. So it's called the preferred Gaylor Street Station Central Inner Bay Alternative. Its code name and number is SIB1. An elevated guideway up Elliott. It serves an Magnolia Bridge, and then through the Armory property. This is all still elevated, and then it goes kind of in between the golf course and the BNSF tracks, in mostly an elevated alignment. And at the very north end of that, it starts diving down, and that is the connection to the next segment. So let's go on from there.
You cut out, sorry, we couldn't hear half of what you said on Zoom.
Which half?
The beginning half. As soon as you started the journey, it just cut out until you got. You were
okay.
about
So
30 seconds. We couldn't hear you. Sorry.
And it wasn't an audio issue. It was like a connection issue. It just kind of dropped for a second.
Okay. Hi. Now you all
I feel like we missed the most important part, so I'm just wanting to go.
So let's go back. So was it on this slide or?
It was.
Okay, so it basically, this is the same as it has been, but it has a tunnel portal. So on the left side of the graphic, you see a little kind of staple that's indicating a tunnel portal. That's at Republican and Elliott, and then it's elevated guideway along Elliott Avenue to an elevated Smith Cove station over Gaylor Street, over the flyover, and then it goes over the Magnolia Bridge, through the Armory property, and then sandwiched in between the golf course and BNSF. And that's all elevated guideway. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question, or should I wait?
Yeah, go ahead.
And sorry, I haven't been involved in the process, but I do know I've heard of, the Seattle Armory is likely going to be redeveloped into a large scale TOD. So have you guys considered that, I guess on Gaylor, yeah, you're closer to Expedia, but you're going to have a high resident mixed use population on the other side of the bridge. And you also would have closer connections to the cruise ship terminals. I mean, I know the decision has likely been made, but have you thought about something on the north side of the Magnolia Bridge?
Yeah, we actually did. So did everybody hear that question? asking about considering north of the Magnolia Bridge. So you may have heard me refer to a period after the draft EIS was published called further studies. And one of the things that we looked at during that period was station options north of the Magnolia Bridge. And the board decided to move forward with this as the preferred alternative and not to advance those alternatives. And we can provide some more background for you on that decision, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, and the only other thing I ask is that, are they making an assumption that the Magnolia Bridge isn't going to exist? Because there's so many buses that cross the Magnolia Bridge that I would assume that a station that's more easily adjacent to the Magnolia Bridge would be able to get a lot more people to and from Magnolia. So
so our assumption is to accommodate either of the city's two Magnolia Bridge replacement concepts. So we're accommodating either one. So we're not assuming that there will not be a Magnolia Bridge. We are assuming that it will be there.
Okay. I'm just making an observation that right now you have at least 3 bus routes that go on the Magnolia Bridge. So aligning the station so at least that it meets up with that feels like it would make more sense just from a serving the community standpoint. But
yeah, and we have bus integration plans that go with each of the different alternatives. Yeah, so we have definitely done a lot of thinking about bus connections and station locations, future land use. Yep, it's all yep, absolutely. Okay, I'm gonna. Ooh, thank you. Okay, let's go there.
It's the Wi-Fi. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Zoomers, please let us know if you raise your hands, make a fuss if you can't hear. Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about Inter Bay Ballard. So I'm actually gonna face this direction and hopefully that will be good for the microphone and good for you all. Because I know these slides almost by heart, so I don't need to see them that clearly. So these are the draft EIS alternatives in the Inter Bay Ballard segment. And these are largely very similar to what we have carried in the draft EIS. The only difference is that the preferred alternative has changed from a bridge at 14th Avenue and an elevated Ballard station and Inter Bay station to a tunnel alternative. And with the terminating station in Ballard being at 15th instead of 14th. So, but we still have the 4 kind of basic options. We have 2 bridges and 2 tunnels, with each one of those having a station either at 15th or at 14th. So there's a bridge 14th, a tunnel 14th, a bridge 15th, a tunnel 15th. That kind of, those are the different ways we have to cross the cut or the ship canal.
So both 14th and 15th will be a tunnel?
There are alternatives for each of those. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
For each one.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but the preferred alternative now is a tunnel alternative. Thank you. Thanks, Brett. Read my mind. That basically, so the biggest change really in this whole section is with the Inter Bay station. Before, the Inter Bay station in the 15th Avenue tunnel alternative was north of Dravis, fully north of Dravis. And now the station is shifted so that it's there would be entrances on either side of Dravis, which actually is super beneficial from an access perspective, because now you don't have to cross Dravis. If you're south of Dravis, you don't have to cross it to get to the station. You can just enter it from the south side of Dravis. It also has some transit integration benefits. So for bus riders, they also have fewer streets to cross.
Technically, is it considered an at grade or is it a retained cut?
That's a great question. I'm pretty sure it's retained cut, but it might kind of feel like it's at grade if you're down at the kind of level of the play fields.
It slopes down.
Yeah, but it's below the Dravis grade for sure. I mean, Dravis goes over it. So it's below the Dravis grade. It's closer to the grade of like the play fields. So
and that's on 17th, not 15th, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it's at so the station location basically would be between 17th and BNSF. And then the tunnel portal is north of Dravis, and then it would tunnel and it would portal underneath The other change about this alignment is that it misses both, there's an SCL parcel and there's the parcel where the new Seattle Storm Practice Facility is located. And this alternative avoids both of those parcels, so we wouldn't have to displace either one of those.
Emily's a big storm fan, so she.
I'm like,
Tech.
it wasn't me, it wasn't me.
Was the first one the playfield? Will that stay then?
No, so the playfields would have been displaced either way. So now it's a larger area of the playfields that will be used for the station. But even in the preferred alternative before it was just kind of tracks that went through the edge of it. It was still going to be enough impact on the park that we were going to have to replace it anyway.
And then on the north end, it's Keller Supply, for those of you that.
So,
yeah,
how are you going to replace that property?
we have to work with the city to identify an appropriate location. And then
to be in the neighborhood. And the
Yep,
same size.
Yep, and we've already actually started working with Parks Department to identify kind of the different requirements of the neighborhood, and they've already given us all who uses it throughout the year, and yeah, so we're already working with them to.
There's limited size.
Yep, we know. It's a challenge, and it's one we are working on already. Okay, so then after it goes into the tunnel, this is the preferred alternative. It goes underneath Salmon Bay, and then it ends at a tunnel station in Ballard, just east of 15th Avenue, south of Market Street. So kind of where the gas station at the Safeway would be kind of the main entrance. There would also be an entrance across alternative. It's not a new alternative, but it's now the preferred alternative, whereas before it was just an alternative. Yes.
The subterranean easements are all east of 15th Avenue Northwest, once it crosses the ship canal.
What do you mean by this? Well, there's going to be an entrance on the west side at Walgreens.
Right.
So there will be an underground
Just that one
connection.
section of it, and all the rail.
Yes, the rail will be
on
on the east. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Not underneath the existing road.
Correct. Yeah. So the rail will be underneath private property on the east side of, for the most part, private property on the east side of 15th. Yeah. Okay, I think that's actually all I want to share. Are there any other questions on the preferred alternative in the Inner Bay Ballard segment?
And I think this is my first listening session as a sound transit board member.
You heard it here. At the Magnolia Community.
I know, yeah. No, we were really excited when we heard the news you were gonna be on the board, so looking forward to working with you as a board member too. Okay, so I think. Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Allison, you can tell my interest is land use, so I'll be working on the land use committee in Magnolia soon, but I'm just starting tonight. But I just have a question in consideration. This is the first time I heard that it sounds like a large part of the sports field at Inner Bay is going to go away. I know there's a tendency to promote some sort of high density TOD at the station, which I'm all for, but something for you guys to consider is that this growing part of the neighborhood has zero green space. So as much as you guys are taking away, maybe there's something you guys can consider for your station area planning that provides some places for dogs to go, people to walk, green space, because there's just concrete, 15th, and the train tracks. So, if there's a part of this green space or the field that can be saved, maybe it might be a good idea to make it a nice community, preserve it as a community open space or green space as much as possible, or provide something in like kind, because you're going to have thousands of people living in this kind of hub neighborhood of Inner Bay, in the future. So just something to think about, because there's no other options between the train tracks or 15th for the people who live here.
Yeah, that's great feedback, and we will, as the project progresses and we get a little bit further into design, we will want to spend time working with the community around station area planning. So I think that's a topic we would love to, in the future, we don't have a plan for when that's gonna happen yet, but it is an exercise that we will go through. So we'll definitely wanna engage.
Could you just tell us what TOD is?
TOD, transit oriented development.
Oh,
Yeah,
TOD.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's great feedback.
I have a question. You mentioned that there's backup information on coordination with bus lines and and surrounding land use development. Is that documented in the EIS, or is that available to look at?
Yeah, so there is some of that information in the 2022 draft EIS. We will be refreshing all of that information as we work to complete a new draft EIS. So there is some information already available. Some will not be available until we publish the new.
And then if you're
draft
looking
EIS.
for it, you need to look in the full document. It's not in the summary.
Yeah, and there's actually even a supplemental sort of station planning document report that is available. I think it should still be available on our website. I can check and make sure we get the links back to you on that one. Yeah, absolutely.
And that location east of 15th there, that's still dependent upon Gravis Street, the existing width of Gravis Street to service traffic from vehicles coming, buses and cars coming by the station.
I'm gonna. Draven Street, overpass way right, it's currently constructed.
Couldn't agree more.
And this is why I'll take this, station area planning is definitely far off in the future. Carol brought up Initiative 42, which requires parkland to be replaced in the same area and of the same type. Lester was smart enough to call out the elevated park, and really what my vision for this, likelihood of it, by the time it's built, I will not be on city council anymore if I'm lucky. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just a normal person. But when I look at this, it is important that we lid a section across the train yard so that we can have more open green space, so that we can have cars and people can get across unencumbered, so that we have a place for people to walk, roll, and ride. That's my hot take for this evening.
So those are our updates on the Interbay and Ballard North segment, we call it. Also wanted to share a project update about some additional work that's happening for our South Lake Union Station. And in December, the board gave us direction to study a new concept for a station in South Lake Union. This is on the tail of the further study period that took place last year, where a variety of station locations were studied across the alignment and corridor, but specifically within South Lake Union, there's interest in a new alternative. And so right here is our set of alternatives, including our preferred alternative, still in pink, through the downtown area. And we're gonna look specifically at the South Lake Union Station, which is right there about around the 99 portal. Next slide, please. So this is the current alignment with the station first in Westlake, perpendicular to the current Westlake station, and with a free transfer point there. Then a Denny station that we call Denny Westlake shifted north. And it's right there by the Discovery Center along Westlake Avenue, and partially in the right of way, connecting to a 7th and Harrison station location just east of the 99 portal, and then connecting further west to, we're running under Seattle Center campus and connecting to a Seattle Center station on Republican. The new proposal that was brought forward by some of our board members is outlined here in this kind of orange sketch. This has not yet been studied, and so this is not an actual design of an alignment, the way that the pink preferred alternative alignment is. but this is conceptually what a new alternative could look like, with the Denny station shifted a little bit further left, angled towards the west. And then a new station concept at the area of 5th and Harrison. This would allow the track geometry to accommodate the second station. The Denny shifted west station is an alternative currently, but currently cannot meet the curve, if you will, for our preferred 7th and Harrison location. So long story short, we're looking at this new concept. The board has given us direction to do a technical analysis of this work and then present that publicly into the board in April. And so in the month of April, we'll be collecting community feedback on this new concept once we have a little bit more information to share about how the alignment could work. And there will be a potential board action in May to consider adding this new concept and station alternative to our environmental process. So that's just a little bit of a preview of work to come, an opportunity for folks to weigh in citywide come May. And this, ultimately impacts the whole alignment and our timeline for delivering the project, which is why we bring it to all of our community meetings, even if it's not so neighborhood specific. That's the extent of our presentation.
Could you go back to your timeline for the Ballard Interday?
Yeah, please. I think our very first slide. So currently we're developing the draft EIS and plan to release that at the end of 2024. That will be followed by a round of public comment, and then ultimately the board will confirm or modify the preferred alternative. We'll move into our final environmental impact statement process, and ultimately a decision on what project to build. Roughly 2026 is the anticipated timeframe for that.
So just to confirm, late 2024 response to a further draft EIS.
Yeah.
We'll probably go through a bit of public dialogue, and then moving forward to 2025, the final EIS.
Yeah. So early or sometime in 2025, we'll get board direction to either, confirm the current preferred alternative or modify it, and then that'll direct our work into the final EIS.
Thank you.
As I understood it, we were previously on the same timeline as our other end of our line in West Seattle. Yeah. Why did we slip?
Essentially, additional study, desire for more alternatives and more study of the alternatives that we had. And
that come mostly from South Lake Union,
as well as Chinatown International District. The Uptown neighborhood had a refinement, some smaller, more minor refinements in the Inner Bay and Ballard area. But yeah, the driving factors were probably Chinatown International District and South Lake. Is that fair?
Has Chinatown been resolved?
There's currently a preferred alternative, the preferred alternative and other alternatives continue to be studied. We have 7 alternatives for Chinatown International District.
Does the Republican tunnel exit still cross 3 times?
In the preferred alternative, there is still elevated guideway crossing. Yeah, crossing 15th 3 times. Yep.
3 times. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
When should I sell my car?
Keep going, Steve. When should we all sell our car? I don't know. You've got longevity, Steve, but I don't know. I don't know if you're gonna be around by the time that.
What kind of speed can they do on curves like that?
It's a great question. I think the design speed for that curve is about, I want to say it's 40 miles an hour is the design speed for that curve. And that's the minimum kind of per our standards. It's as tight as it can be to remain within our design standards right now. And that is what the reason for the crossing, why we need to cross over to the other side is because like that is just the curve radius required to meet our design criteria. Yeah, that is something that we have spent a lot of time trying to figure out. We're looking at other things like some different types of columns to support, to have you know, try to have kind of less bulk in terms of what you'll see out there. But yeah, and that's another thing that we're working really closely with the city on.
Monorail?
No, I did not. That word did not come out of my mouth.
The question that came up, was the community advisory.
Yep.
Was, and it's, I think it's worth asking again, since you're doing it now as separate pieces. The question was, you can build smaller stations and save money if you're just running 2-car trains instead of 3-car trains. So has that been considered?
Well, we need the capacity for. I would say that the ridership projections haven't really changed. The project has always been 2 separate pieces. So are you talking about West Seattle and Ballard being separate?
The Ballard, yeah, the Ballard, because you're not gonna be going from Ballard to West Seattle.
We never
on the
were.
same train.
We never were. That was not, it was always 2 separate extensions. We were just in the planning phase together. And so it was, yeah, but it's always actually been the West Seattle link extension and the Ballard link extension. We're just we're just like at the same timeline. We had been in the same timeline, but they were never connected to each other. And the ridership projections are actually based on they haven't changed, basically. Like the assumptions about ridership haven't changed. Just because it's the only thing that's changed is the timeline of each process has changed.
But if you, instead of building, I mean, I can't imagine something like the Northgate Station sitting over the Magnolia Bridge. It's going to be an eyesore, and it's just going to be an eyesore. And a way for it to be less massive is if it isn't for 3 cars.
We need that in Ballard, though.
I'll
We need the long trains in Ballard.
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
This because I had a misunderstanding for a long time as well. The Ballard, so there's a lot of details. The Ballard line goes to Tacoma. And then the West Seattle line goes to Everett. So as everything is being built out, the transfer point is somewhere near Chinatown International District. Because our project here has 2 tunnels and the Chinatown International District wasn't fully resolved and connected to this section, not the West Seattle section. That's why they got split.
Right, no, I understand that. I'm just saying that if there were 2-car trains running more often to deal with the same ridership, you wouldn't need to invest the money in massive, ugly stations.
Yeah. They do it in Germany, small stations.
Like Washington DC, it's one entrance on the block that.
But it's a long line, so you wanna have the potential for growth in the future, yeah.
Right, yeah, that's a good point. It is, it's a long line and there is a lot of growth anticipated. So I mean, I hear what you're saying, and there's a lot behind this.
Emily.
That the ridership projections haven't changed from pre-pandemic times, is that correct?
The assumptions behind our ridership models in terms of, I meant in terms of the lines, where the lines are going, that part has not
Well,
changed.
my question to you is, given, I don't know about Sound Transit, but Metro's ridership projection post-pandemic have not been accurate. And so I'm assuming that you either at some point you're gonna reassess those maybe next year or so, because the ridership may not be as high as was anticipated 2 or 3 years ago, and that could impact other applications. I assume somebody has that idea.
Yeah, it's certainly something that we are aware of. It's it's just like a really complex thing to try to estimate ridership. And it's based on a lot of things. It's not only kind of historical patterns of ridership, but land use and transportation, and where population is going to be, where jobs are going to be, what other options are going to be available to people. But yes, we do. That is all to say, we do update our ridership projections periodically. based on when we get new information. So, yeah.
Contact with us now that Alexis has stepped into another role.
Yeah,
Okay.
me and Bobby will be your points of contact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob
Just
Kettle
I-
has a
well,
question
that's
for
pretty
you.
good point. I want to follow up.
Bob Kettle has a question for you. Yeah. Bob, do you want to speak now?
Yeah, I just had a quick question, and it's a D7 question, not really Magnolia specific, but my understanding in terms of doing walkabouts with the uptown representatives and the like was that the station there at Republican at Queen Avenue was on the first north side and not the first west side. Can you confirm that, the intent is to put the station between Queen Avenue North and First West versus First North?
Yes, without looking at the map, that sounds right. There was I think previous preferred alternative was adjacent to Climate Pledge. And there were concerns there from the organizations around Climate Pledge. And so after the further study period and some community input, the station was refined, shifted a couple blocks west. And now the station entrance, the primary station entrance is at First Avenue North and Queen Anne Ave North and Republican West, extending to the west over to First Ave North.
First Ave West.
First Ave West. Thank you. The street naming in the neighborhood doesn't help.
But the station was shifted west from the draft EIS concept.
Okay, so
Yeah, so the current preferred alternative station location has been shifted west from where it previously was.
And Councilor, we look forward to meeting with you and briefing you on the whole alignment. But it's nice to meet you for the first time.
And I apologize that I don't have a more crisp answer, but I really start paying attention when you get to the end of Republican Street. So I'm like, Republican and Third West is where my segment starts. So I'm sorry.
okay, well, I'll follow up later, and yeah, because there's a downward slope versus the level ground between Queen Avenue North and First North, so I just thought that made more sense. But turns out I'm going to be meeting with the representatives from Seattle Center and the Arena and so forth very soon, so I'll have the opportunity to get their input as well.
So look forward to speaking with you.
Right? Yeah, I do look forward to it, definitely.
This segues perfectly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think if there's more questions, we can follow up with them. You can send them to me or send them.
Yeah, I can leave some cards and you have my contact.
Perfect.
Is that deck or something similar posted on the Sound Transit site?
Yeah, we have a participate online site. I can send you the link, and it's both the way to sign up for project updates. And there's maybe not every slide here, but there's graphics and plenty of information there.
Okay, we'll put it on our website
Yeah.
too. And then if you don't mind staying for 5 or 10 more minutes, we could switch the screen to Bob. And it's Bob, welcome to our meeting. We're going to put you up on the screen here in a minute.
I think when the councilor starts speaking, it'll highlight it.
Okay. So
Can you hear me now?
there you are. Perfect. Whoop.
You have to keep speaking.
Well, I'll just do a quick introduction. Well, I think most of you have met me before, either in person or via Zoom. And is my my colleague from the Great District 6 still there, or has he moved on to dinner?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't miss your presentation for the world. I gotta make sure if you give me marching orders, I can carry them out.
It's always good to know who's in the audience, and well, to David's point, I do think there's benefit for Magnolia having 2 council members representing Magnolia, and as I noted, and be rest assured, your 2 council members are having what we call Checkpoint Charlie meetings, which came out of a joke that I said that I believe the Magnolia Village is a D7 enclave in D6, otherwise known as the West Berlin of the Seattle District System. And so out of that was born the Checkpoint Charlie meetings that your 2 council members will have periodically moving forward. And so I am up and running in the office. I just want to let everybody know that. on the other end of the hallway from Dan. I have my staff. My chief of staff is Steve Smith. My policy director is Brent Lowe. And you may have remembered my campaign manager. She's my EA, district director for constituent affairs, Rebecca Duran. That's my team. Now that we're on board, as you know, position 8 is the first order of business for the council, and so that's what we're working through. And we have 8. You can argue all 8 individuals or given March Madness is around the corner, the elite 8 are all individuals that could serve on the Seattle City Council. If you watch our last meeting, not today's meeting, but last week's meeting where those 8 came out of, you would have heard my criteria, and I just wanted to highlight the main criteria, the one I put more emphasis on was those individuals with community experience, being civic volunteers, community leaders, because of the perspective gained from engaging on the issues. And I just throw out Earl's example. When you work these issues and you're banging your head against the city hall bureaucracy, you gain some insight, and that is that's the tiebreaker for me. If an individual has that kind of experience, that's the kind of experience that we need on the Seattle City Council to bring that perspective forward. So I'll just say that you can look at the I'll say it again next week, but I have my various criteria, but I really put an emphasis on that kind of experience, that perspective, and that Earl's gaining right now in his role as public safety chair, but also on this transportation. And I should say, by the way, thank you to my D6 counterpart for venturing into D7 and assisting on this issue that is clearly within D7 itself proper. As you know, Dan's got finance/budget. I am chairing the public safety committee, which is a hot topic, public safety, as you know. Right now, I'm doing a lot of coordination. I've had discussions with Deputy Mayor Burgess and Chief Diaz, City Attorney Davison, and among others, and developing a way ahead, doing some stakeholder outreach. But right now, because of what's going on with position 8, it's primarily those with a Seattle.gov address. And then once the committee start in February, then it'll go public stakeholder kind of place where. So at the moment, you may read here and there that the committees are kind of stalled out. Well, not exactly, because this kind of outreach is going on to do some early T's cross I dots in terms of some of the ideas that I have regarding public safety, particularly around the idea of permissive environment. So that's going on. Speaking of outside committee assignments, I'm on the Board of Health. And as I said during the campaign, I still believe it now, public safety, public health are two sides of the same coin. So being on the Board of Health, that broader perspective will be very important. And I will continue regarding more with Magnolia. I will continue to work with Dan on the Aurora Bridge and the like. And Fort Lawton is interesting to me. It's definitely a D6 issue, but it also has a D7 piece, because in order to get there and back, you have to go through the one of 6 bridges that I keep talking about that cross over Interbay, and that's really important. And as I told Dan earlier today, there's that old adage about don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Granted, we're receiving this land from Fort Lawton, but as I told him, when it comes to military bases, that adage may be true in a lot of cases, but with military bases, you definitely want to check the teeth and gums, because a lot of things happen on military bases, and you definitely want to be checking that out. Otherwise, there's going to be some surprises. So I throw that out there just so you're consistent with what I've told your other council member earlier. And then last, I'll be outreaching with Rebecca soon, but looking at March at the end of the first quarter to have our inaugural District 7 Neighborhood Council meeting, which is centered on bringing the various neighborhood community councils together, plus some other organizations to fill in some gaps, to really work the outreach between the neighborhood communities and City Hall. And so stand by on that. There'll be more coming out on that in the not too distant future. So that's it. And sorry I'm not there with you. I had some pressing business here with the family, so I had to go with Zoom.
And when Bob used that adage, I then mentioned that the Calvary's place where they cremated the horses is in that section of Fort Lawton.
The stables?
No, where that big brick chimney.
Oh, yeah, that was
That's-
their incinerator.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Carol
yeah.
confirms.
You should go in the archives,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
kinds of stuff.
Again,
Magnolia used to take their garbage to where the golf course is now and burn it. And they turned down garbage collection. We didn't get it till the late 60s because I guess they liked it. I don't know.
Magnolia, very progressive.
Yes.
there you go. As Paul Harvey would say, page 2. Now the rest of the story.
Mhm.
I know you all have really tough questions for Bob. I'm just gonna take this moment, like, this is the only community council that I get to share with another council member.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes it so much better.
Does anybody have questions for Bob?
Yes,
Mhm.
okay, Bob, this came up, well, this has come up several times at the West Precinct Advisory Council meetings, and you've heard this in the past. I'm glad you're here, Dan. This is with respect to the city of Seattle having access to King County Jail and the amount of money that the city pays to the county for spaces, I guess, that we're not getting. So we're spending a lot of money and we're not getting utilization. Is that something on your radar? Is that something the council is going to address, or the mayor?
It's definitely on my radar, and so not to go into too many details, but this basically have a strategic framework to look at the permissive environment challenge that we have, because that underlines a lot of what we're dealing with. And there's a lot of what I have 6 pillars, and the first pillar is SBD staffing, and then there's others that go through, and this goes to the conversations I've had. But working through those issues, we really need the city to be working together. It starts with the committee, then with the council, and then the council with the executive side, plus the city attorney. And then we as a city need to be engaging the county and the state on the issues that are affecting our public safety. On the county public safety, there's 2 main ones: A, the jail, to your point, and 2, King County Metro transit security issues. And then they also have the public health side. We really need the county to come through on the public health side. And as I've been noting to people, imagine where we would be from a state side if their mental health spending among the 50 states was number 2, like our dogs are ranked in college football. Imagine the capacity that we would have if our state spending on mental health over the past decade was equal to number 2. 5 years ago we were like 46. We're still in the upper 30s. It's terrible, and it has impacts on the ground for our city, because we're relying on the county and the state on public health, and mental health is a state function. And that really plays out in terms of its impacts on our public safety. So to your question, yes, and that is the 6th pillar, and that will be part of the discussion as we lay out just the basic framework of the committee on February 13th, which is our first public safety committee meeting day.
There's an old cliche, which I think is actually accurate, that says when healthcare budgets get tight, everything above the shoulder gets cut. So, vision care, mental health, dental work, that's the first thing they think of.
Bob?
Yes.
David, I have a question. So public safety, as a committee said, it just seems right up your alley. But everywhere I go, I travel a fair amount. Every big city is dealing with a police shortage. Every big city is dealing with a police shortage. It's endemic across the country.
And so I think we kind of screwed up at a critical point in time and exacerbated our own problem. That's then, this is now. What are your thoughts about how we compete? You know, with Phoenix, with Washington DC, with Chicago, everybody looking for cops these days. What are the leverage points that you see that might help us fill our gap?
You know, for me, it comes down to leadership. You know, anybody in that room, everywhere, you want to be supported by your boss. You want to be supported by upper management and the like. And bottom line is, despite what others have said in the past, and I won't go who, Seattle City Council is part of the upper management for SPD. So, in coming up, I'm going to be going to the East Precinct with Council Member Hollingsworth, D3, and I will be saying to the men and women as the first, second watch turnover that, you know, I do support the men and women of the Seattle Police Department. That, you know, I have high expectations, high standards for them. I recognize the challenges that we, you know, the reasons why we have a consent decree. I believe in the consent decree and the reforms and how we've moved forward, and we need to continue to do that. But bottom line is, we have, you know, arguably the best police force in the city, and we will continue to improve with, you know, the oversight and the work that we can do. And so, you know, I will ask the police officers to give us 1 year to, if you're looking to retire or transfer to another jurisdiction, give us 1 year. You know, we can make changes, you know, in terms of the, you know, the approach with the leadership and identifying that support, identifying retention and recruitment options. Like, I really like to pair the Seattle Promise program with young people, have them come through the community college program, get a associate's degree, and then go through the before the badge before heading into the academy. You know, I think, you know, a challenge that we've had is that, you know, if you're going to denigrate, and Grant, I'm mindful of the challenges that led to the consent decree, but if you're going to denigrate a force and the like and not show support, particularly when you're in a leadership position, you shouldn't be surprised if you have manning issues, if you have staffing issues. And I think that if we take a different approach, I think we can really, you know, flip this, you know, the switch on this and really change, you know, the dynamics and create some momentum. And it's just about, you know, leadership 101. And that's going to be a big focus. That's pillar one of the strategic framework. Because if we don't get this right, we're going to have, it's going to be an uphill battle to, you know, to tackle the permissive environment, which underlines, you know, a lot of what we're dealing with in terms of public safety challenges.
Thank you, Bob. I think I'm going to take a 2-minute break here for our guests who need to leave, can leave, and we'll transition over. I think Cody is going to break down the monitor here. So anyway, I just wanted to take a 2-minute break before we continue on with our agenda. If you have other questions for Bob, let us know, and we can definitely pass them on. Thank you so much and welcome, Bob Kettle.
Okay. God, you can text me if you like.
Bob, you didn't give me any marching orders. We'll save that for tomorrow.
And there's coffee and tea if anyone wants it.
Just don't use the restroom. They'll catch you in the hall.
That's right. That's right.
Dan's standing marching orders are to, you know, with his experience both as an LA and now as a council member, is to assist in those that are new to the legislative process. And he understands that, and he's been helpful. So I thank Dan for that. I will say that publicly. Thank you, Dan, for, you know, highlighting some of the legislative aspects of the job that, you know, new council members may not be familiar with.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. I'll see you tomorrow, Bob. I'll be in City Hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I will be getting your ducks in a row right now.
Okay, thanks.
I would get your wish list together.
Yeah, okay.
Rob Saka is the chair on the committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's
anything that type
That's where I think we should get to. Because I'm gonna be pushing them also to just do a bridge bond. Like kind of like what they were, what Alex wanted to do. Or a bridge levy. Because if we use the Murcial levy for bridges, it's gonna suck up everything. And then, so yeah, I'd say, let's put our heads together.
Essentially, they're talking about the past. In San Francisco,
I'm gonna send, yeah, so I'm gonna send you all of my materials.
Guys.
So that
A long time.
I can give you a ride. Okay, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, that sounds great. Since I stayed late. Yeah.
My friend.
Thanks for, I wish I had more picks that I could pick.
Yeah, I don't know. What they're gonna be have to use a lot of technology to fill that gap.
No,
There's a lot of
it's
other stuff.
I think it's position.
Well, the Ballard Pool swimsuit spinner's been vacant for 2 years. And out of all the equipment that's used at the pool is the bathing suit spinner.
A friend of mine.
Send Anthony in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because we can.
Got a card?
We can do,
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, no, I've got the fourth one is you got all the cities that.
Excellent, excellent. And Cody and Emily are top tier. So I will send you all of the info that I have on the Magnolia list, so that you can find all the holes and we can put our heads together and then devise that next step strategy. Yeah.
Well, I think that was where I did.
Yeah.
Well, right, and the other problem.
All right, I'm gonna sneak out. Bye, Bob. See you tomorrow.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It is so nice to be in person.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Europe.
Have to replace them.
Yeah.
All the. ball
Here it's
fields.
like what?
Oh, I was just, your comment earlier, but you're bringing up that, Michigan, that you have to replace any.
Anthony, we make sure you get an email tomorrow after you get information from city council.
Yeah, well, let me do that, yeah, just so I don't get it wrong or get to. No, that'll be great. It's a good reminder, like, so you're gonna work on it.
Yeah. Very detailed. So one of the. So I was.
There, we're gonna reconvene now.
Well.
Okay, you guys, where should I put this? We have our Zoom people still waiting to attend. Trying to figure out.
Where they're doing it is on the edge.
No, Alice is gonna keep us.
I know you guys,
At 9
well,
o'clock, yeah.
we've got people still here, so
Yeah.
let's continue on.
So, Bob, I see that Captain Strand is one of the finalists for that open sea. That's, I mean, that's great, except that it creates a hole in the police department leadership, potentially. But
Yes,
sure he'll rotate out at West Precinct at some point anyway.
yes. and I've worked with other West Precinct captains before. Steve's a great guy. A lot of, like I said, a lot of different factors involved. And but it's great. What I like about it is that we have 3 veterans and 1 active police officer, another that works within like a crime prevention officer. And I think it's great to see that, and it shows that anything's possible, like having a veteran on the Seattle City Council, because right now we have 2, a career guy like me, and then Rob Saka, who has Air Force Reserve and who has active duty time as well.
Yeah. All right, it looks like we're starting up again here.
I don't know where, I'm trying to figure out where you guys might like to view on Zoom, but I'm positioning the microphone so that Carol can hear you if you're speaking. But I think, Janet, are you okay to monitor the Zoom in case someone has a question? Because Carol needs to hear this microphone, so. Or I can switch, we can switch to David's microphone. Should we do that? Let's switch. Yeah.
Sound again?
Or do you want me to?
So-
Turn my phone on.
People don't learn to
You want me
articulate.
to check with the?
with people. Okay, well, you're good at it, Earl, but not many people are.
Could I ask somebody, anybody in the Zoom room to speak? Scott, could you say something?
Hello, and I want to talk to Bob sometime about graffiti and trash.
Wonderful, thank you.
Graffiti's part of the framework. Don't worry.
Yeah. As I used to tell my students, project.
Can you guys hear Allison?
Yeah, I can.
No, they cannot.
No.
All right, next up is Earl, you're next, public safety.
Yeah, I really don't have too much more to report. I think that bridge letter was the main function. My question to Bob about the city spending money on the county jail was the other point. Again, I'd encourage people to let me know if you hear of any or experience any firsthand public safety issues, so that I can bring them up at the West Precinct Advisory Council meeting, which is usually 1 week before this meeting. So feel free to email me. We're not crime-free in Magnolia, but compared to other parts of the city, much better. The other thing is a priority of following up on disaster preparedness, which Steve, I think we've talked about that. Yeah, I'll catch up with you after the meeting, but I don't want to talk about it. I think we need to do it. Okay, so that's all.
Great, thank you.
You mentioned something at our meeting last week that I've been thinking about. I think it was you that mentioned this, that it's better, like, I think a lot of times there's things that like our car has been broken into several times, we never report that or anything, but I think it was you that was saying that it's important that we report that because that's how they allot the support for our neighborhood based on, how much stuff is, what, have that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I would encourage you to share that information with your neighbors. And the police department is data driven. You can go to their website and you can get breakdown on crime statistics. Including Magnolia.
Is there something online where you report it where automatically gets counted, or because a lot of people feel like, they tell the policeman and they say, well, nothing you can do about it, and that's, it's not gonna necessarily go.
It's all. Yeah, right. So we can, so for the 911 calls, and then I forget what the number is for non-emergency calls to report things.
So we should probably, is probably a good thing to put on webpage.
Yeah, could I just easily find those links or can you
I'll-
send them to me?
I'll look for them.
Okay, yeah. And then I did just want to ask if you said you were gonna update me if you heard, but did you hear any follow-up from the incident weeks ago by MES?
So last week, Amy, shared with us that, there was, at just near Magnolia Elementary School, an attempt to lure two children, two young girls. I don't know if it was in a car, but the guy was being sexually explicit and exposed himself. I brought it up at the West Precinct, meeting. The captain said he had seen something about it, but didn't have any particulars. And, you know, in the absence of detailed description or license plate number, there's not much that can be done. But a lot of this goes to the point of we as a community have to be sort of a first line point of information. I don't want anybody to turn into a vigilante here, but we should try to get as much information from our neighbors, and again, report it, share it, and hopefully, you know, we'll get enough police support. I've noticed the police driving around Magnolia, so we do have some support. That issue outside Magnolia Elementary Schools is trouble for sure. Yeah.
I noticed, by the way, this doesn't compare, but that little sandwich shop that's right next to the post office, the guy got his door kicked in, and he said a few $100s. He was sweeping up the glass when I went to the post office, and just about 3 or 4 days ago. I was just surprised. That's gotta be, I would guess that's drug related, because it's not the place you go to make any big hit. Smashed in the door in the night, I guess, and hit his cash register for under $100. I think he said that was in the cash register.
Yeah.
I assume that's been reported. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Earl. Janice, anything to report on the NAC?
NAC meets tomorrow. I'm gonna be out of town and I'm gonna miss the next one. So, but Don will be there.
And I'll be there.
Good, very nice. Yeah.
Do you want to do transportation and transit? You're on there too later.
So I'm gonna be connecting with Dan Strauss, who is on the Transportation Committee, which is a good thing, to get the timetable for the update for the Move Seattle levy. He says to come up with our wish list now. Great. So I'll be connecting with him on that. You're probably going to see the chamber has sent out a notice. They're having a meeting tomorrow.
Trip to the Ascension, 6 to 7. The specific topic is 15th Avenue West, Allen Bridge, safety and paving project, nothing else.
Right. Well, I think that it came as a surprise. It is something that we actually notified the community about when they first published. They wanted input. What they asked was questions like, when you cross the bridge, where do you go, and what time of day, to try to assess when to do the repairs. It's they're finishing up the 2015 Move Seattle levy. And
I think tomorrow is
right.
what's happening.
Well, I think that most people didn't pay attention to the request for input. And so that when they pull out the repair trucks, it's a surprise. So I think that that's what it is. It's going to be a pain in the neck, but it's not going to be as devastating as when they put in Sound Transit or the bridge, which neither of which will probably happen in my lifetime.
Yes.
Right.
Kurt Nielsen had a question. What is the NAC?
Oh, NAC is the NAC is wonderful. It's the Neighbors Advisory Committee for the Port of Seattle. And it was an agreement that is between or among Queen Anne, Magnolia, and the Port of Seattle, and it was based on a lawsuit where Queen Anne Community Council and Magnolia Community Council sued the port to make sure that they weren't going to put a container port in at Piers 90 and 91. And they were ordered to have this committee that meets once a month with representatives from the Queen Anne Community Council and the Magnolia Community Council to keep us informed as to what's happening at the port. And it's turned out to be a really positive collaboration. It gives us an opportunity to hear from people on Queen Anne regularly. It serves kind of the purpose that the district councils used to, in that there's an exchange of information. If the port wants to let us know any, construction or things that might be affecting the community, they let us know. If we have stuff that we seek their support on, we let them know. And it's a very collaborative, positive experience. It's one of the most fun things that I do every month. So does that answer your question, what the NAC is? They have replicated the NAC based on our group. I think they now have a NAC for the airport area. They have a NAC, or they were setting up a NAC for when the port was going to be expanding their cruise ship terminal at Pier 46, I think.
Yeah,
But
40 something.
40 something, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's been a really valuable thing. And somebody has a hand up.
Me again. I just had a question. If there are any opportunities, if you guys are looking for new members or volunteers, I would be very interested in participating in that, and particularly how what is the port looking at in terms of Terminal 90, 91, and 46 long-term for the cruise ships, kind of infrastructure to support the cruise ships. Because that definitely has an impact on the 15th Avenue corridor and some industrial areas. So
Right.
count me in if there's an opportunity, for sure.
Okay, well,
We'll let you know.
Thank you.
I think, Amy, did you have anything you wanted to share for communications?
I actually had one more thing.
Sorry.
I just got notice, and I don't have my phone with me to give you more details than this, other than this Saturday afternoon at the Nordic Heritage Museum, our legislative delegation is going to be having a town hall.
And it's 1 to 2, I think.
I'm not sure what time it is.
Yeah, I think that, don't swear to that, but I think that's what it was, yeah.
But
Mhm.
they're always pretty informative, and I didn't, but I will.
So who specifically is going to be there? Like state legislation?
I think all 3 of them.
Yeah, all 3 of them. Yeah, Senator Frey.
That's what the notice said,
Yeah,
yeah.
Representatives Berry and Reed. And this session is the short session. It's kind of the budget patch sessions. It's not like a big policy session, but it's always good to remind them that they have allocated some money in the future file for the Ballard Interbay Corridor, and we want them to.
And you can check out the troll.
Yeah.
Freddie. He's very popular.
In that vein, has anyone on the executive committee or the officers reached out to Jorge Barón to see if he would join us for King County Council, the new King County Council? Has anybody reached out to him?
Yes,
Okay, and has he responded favorably or no?
he'll visit with us at some point in the next few months.
My quick communications update is that I have a very long list of website updates and things to add and rejiggering some things, so it's more of a resource for our community that we'll be able to drive more people there, but I have been at action website for a little while, so I have a long list of things to do. And a few ideas, that I'll get put together, so for our next meeting, I'll talk to the better update. That's it. And if anybody wants to talk, always look for the report.
Okay, we're gonna move to an interactive portion of our meeting, so I'll try and keep the screen facing the walls over here for you on Zoom. We very carefully arranged our year in review over here on the wall. If you want to come and see, we tried to do a recap of all the things we accomplished last year. And where I need your help is to set goals for 2024. So the executive committee came up with a few. And we're gonna put them up over here. And if you could just grab a piece of paper and a pen and write something down that you feel is important for us to focus on this year, you need your help figuring that out. And then I'm gonna give you some stickers. And you'll have a chance to kind of vote with your stickers on which ones you think we should really spend time on and maybe get something done in this next year. So you're all invited to come over. We wrote some of them. Yeah, to get a head start. But Janice, I did not want to do on Facebook.
Thank you. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the process where somehow indicating our preference for one for another?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you some stickers.
All right.
But I think that you don't see us here, please make a. I need. Over to the law.
Oh, wait, wait, wait.
That brand, bicycle and pedestrian, yeah.
It is or.
Yeah, okay, so if something comes up that you, but I feel.
Yeah.
That's.
Write your own.
More comments? What else is out there? We're all there.
These are your stickers.
I think that.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I used to have a long day. And, I hear the lights
They went to, yeah. They were going to go. And that's why they needed money. First one was, go get me on this.
Security.
Yeah. Backward check. Large monitor and private update.
Hey, Allison.
Funding for the pedestrian bridge on 33rd Avenue. And get regular updates from SDOT and attend meetings.
All the way around today. Hey, Allison.
I realized you guys couldn't hear me. I'm so sorry. If you want to vote on in the chat, I'm happy to put stickers up for you guys.
What I read some of, what is?
Can you hear me okay?
You had some acronyms. What is FLARC? What?
FLARC is the Fort Lawton Army Reserve.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that whole development area.
It's the housing development in Fort Lawton.
Right.
Okay.
So are these issues we'd like to see addressed, or these are things that have
Yes.
already?
We're doing goal setting for 2024, Scott. So these are things that you would like the Magnolia Community Council to focus on for 2024.
Okay.
And I'll type them up all after the meeting, but for now, if you want to put anything in the chat, I'm happy to put stickers up on the issues that you feel are important. Okay. And thank you for your patience. We should wrap this up in about 5-10 minutes, but feel free to stay or go as you need. Okay. Thank you. I love it.
Did I get that? More than one. That's how your alliance. What is? Wow, I was interested. But I still. Yeah, good.
So that's the line.
And you.
And I should say you can support
Yeah, by the way, I'm on if I can. Early tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
That's soon enough.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right. I'm just gonna go out early in the morning because. Be great. Just an FYI, I'm managing. Parents, my mother.
That's tough mechanics. Work. Presidential meetings and my mother. And so I got a great meeting. It's almost impossible.
You know, it's
you got it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, that was a really nice speech.
I've stated a lot of things.
All right.
For me, this is one of the best I've ever stayed at. It's a Hilton boutique. I got my Hilton points, which is a big deal for me.
Assuming this will get
To the three main galleries, relatively easily. All the hole in the wall of local restaurants were fun. There was a little grocery store nearby. So
I just think it's
Um,
from that TV show.
There you go.
Trying to get their dad's best heirloom, whatever.
if you get up to-
It's the- Yeah, that's what I really-
we have trained and that's-
Okay, I'm gonna just show you guys how the voting results here.
Just out of the way, but I'd say a half a mile from the train station. If that helps. You get off the train and then you come to
I
this
think
big long hill.
Is this backwards for you guys?
And then you continue up, and you'll come to like the shopping district. and then you can
Hey,
do-
Allison.
Yeah,
Okay, so the Gaylor, what's the Gaylor Thorndike thing?
But here,
it was the center median. Is it backwards for you?
No, we can see it
Okay.
fine.
It's the center medians of the on Thorndike Avenue between Gaylor and Dravis.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so it's just the landscaping.
Yeah, it's landscaping.
Okay.
So
Okay.
my wife, Susan, museums were the main reason we were there.
Mark,
And for me, it's one of the reasons on the bucket.
all right.
Yeah,
we're not getting anywhere.
And
Okay. So the last thing I'll say, if you put a lot of your name on the ones you really want to
That's
help with, okay? So we need to collect some names here.
for me.
Please put name on one of them, okay? I'm gonna sign you guys. I think David has to go, so we're gonna have to sign off. I'll try and capture all of this and get the information to you guys. Okay, thanks so much.
But the Tyson Mona Lisa
Good night.
is amazing.
Oh, can you save the chat for me?
Sure. I have the meeting being recorded. Doesn't it automatically save the
No,
chat?
the chat is different. Don't sign off yet. Let me.
I'm not signing off because I haven't. I'm gonna make you the host. Allison,
Yeah,
I'm about to make you the host, but I want to confirm that it took place. So are you ready?
I just want to save the chat. I'm trying to figure out where to do that. I usually
do not have a good list. I have a bunch.
So I'm at the name,
But
and then I click on the more,
I've got the list.
and I'm about to click on make host.
Okay, that's great, but I'm still trying to figure out. I used to be able to figure
Make
out.
host, make Allison G the main host.
Okay,
With you.
You are now the meeting host.
okay, awesome. Thank you.
The right thing to do.
So Allison, I'm not leaving the building, but I'm now gonna leave the meeting and make sure that me leaving the meeting doesn't stop. Okay?
It's just you and I on it now, so it's fine. I just want to
Oh, all my
chat.
participants are gone?
Yeah.
Oh, then why am I worried? I guess we're recording. Let me capture